Most people spend their entire lives getting ready to live, but never actually live. And when you're the one who starts to feel how crazy that is, when what used to make sense just feels meaningless, that's the first sign. It's one of 5 clear signs your soul is ready for a simpler life. This feeling doesn't come from nowhere. It's your intuition finally reacting to the noise, a sign that you need to honor your story, not the one the world wrote for you. If you feel this way, I have great news for you. This calling is your body and soul's response to a world that programmed us to believe that busy equals important. There are signs that your soul is asking you to let go of what no longer serves you and make space for a simpler life. In this video, we're going to explore 5 signs that you're ready for this change. Why the need to simplify? For me, simplifying is an intentional act of peeling away the layers of unnecessary complexity, reconnecting with my inner self, and rediscovering the simple joys and authentic passions that bring me profound fulfillment. Through this process, I have found greater contentment, strengthened my relationships, and carved out a life that feels profoundly richer in meaning and purpose. Sign 1. Experiences over possessions. The first sign, maybe one of the strongest, is a subtle shift in how you see what's valuable. Your internal metric for a good life begins to change. The culture programmed us to build a life that looks impressive from the outside, filled with status symbols. But you've started to crave a life that feels good from the inside. You instinctively understand that a full memory bank is more valuable than a full closet. Many people associate material things with feeling complete, an illusion. You've started to clearly see a vicious cycle. The excitement of a purchase fades quickly, and soon it just becomes another thing taking up space. Meanwhile, the memory of a trip or a special dinner stays alive inside you. You've noticed that spending money on experiences like concerts, travel, hobbies, or sports brings more lasting happiness than buying material goods. This shows up in everyday life. Suddenly, you find yourself dreaming more about a hike in the woods than a day shopping at the mall. When planning your budget, the idea of saving money for a course or a weekend getaway becomes way more appealing than spending on electronics. You understand that things break or go out of style, while memories and what you learn become part of who you are. They appreciate over time. This desire to have a full memory bank instead of a house full of stuff is a clear sign that your soul craves a life more focused on being and less on having. Sign 2. Tired of the rat race. The second sign is a tiredness that reaches beyond the body, an exhaustion of mind and soul. You feel constantly overwhelmed by a packed schedule, an endless to-do list, and the pressure to always be on and productive. Hustle culture sold us the idea that being busy is a sign of importance. If you're running from one thing to another, you're doing enough. You've started to question that. You feel in your bones that this rat race is stealing your peace, your creativity, and your ability to be present. You're always getting ready to live, never actually living. Days blur together in a sequence of obligations, and there's no room left for spontaneity, for real rest, for the kind of boredom that inspires. This sign becomes clear when the question, "What do you do?" starts to sound irrelevant. The rat race works because we've merged our identity with our productivity. But now, you feel a deep desire to be defined by who you are, not what you produce. You find yourself more interested in being a good friend or an attentive reader than in having the next job title. This is your identity decoupling from your schedule. You no longer want to prove your worth to the world. You want to live your worth for yourself. Sign 3. Connection with nature. The third sign is an almost primal calling, a desire to unplug from screens and reconnect with the natural world. In a world of artificial light and eyes glued to phones, you feel a physical need to step on grass, feel the sun on your face, hear the sound of wind in the trees. This desire has a name: biophilia. It's the theory that humans are genetically hardwired to connect with nature. Our species evolved in natural environments for millennia. Our recent separation from them is a tiny, stressful blip in history. So, that primal calling you feel isn't just a desire for a nice view. It's your biology screaming to come home. And it's a clear sign you're ready for a less artificial pace of life. But the deepest sign is a shift in identity. You stop seeing yourself as a human visiting nature and start remembering that you are nature. This realization changes everything. You see that your well-being and the planet's well-being aren't two separate things. When you feel this desire to come home, it's not to a place, but to a part of yourself that was forgotten. It's a sign you're ready for a simpler life because you realize that you don't need excess to be whole. Sign 4. Freedom from clutter. The fourth sign is unmistakable. Clutter, both physical and mental, starts to suffocate you. You look at the closet full of clothes you don't wear, at shelves packed with things gathering dust, and you feel weight. Each object seems to steal a bit of your energy. To clean, to organize, to decide what to do with it. This external mess starts to mirror an internal chaos. This desire to declutter spreads to your digital and mental world. You feel like cleaning up your computer desktop, unsubscribing from emails that clog your inbox, silencing groups and notifications that keep stealing your attention. You realize that your mind is also too full with worries about the future, thoughts about the past. This desire to create space is a sign that you're ready for more clarity. You understand, almost instinctively, that clutter is a source of stress and anxiety. This desire for space is a sign of something profound. You are ready to live in the present. You've realized instinctively that clutter is just an anchor. Physical clutter anchors you to the past, the person you used to be, the money you spent, the guilt you carry. Mental clutter anchors you to the future, all the worries and what-ifs list. By wanting to clear it all, you're asking for permission to finally let go of those anchors and exist right now. Sign 5. Self-knowledge. The fifth and final sign is a shift in your motivation. The search for external validation, like a higher position or other people's approval, starts to lose its appeal. In its place emerges a genuine curiosity and a desire to learn for pure pleasure and growth. You find yourself interested in developing practical skills, in becoming more self-sufficient. Maybe you feel like learning to cook from scratch, to fix something at home, to grow your own food, or to manage your money better, as a desire to connect with life's processes. This shift is a redefinition of what success means to you. Success stops being a measure that comes from outside and becomes an internal journey of learning and independence. This excitement is a sign of empowerment. You realize that depending less on ready-made solutions and endless consumption gives you more freedom and resilience. Joy starts coming from the process, from the pride of creating something with your own hands, from understanding how things work. And then you realize that you are silencing the noise of external validation to finally hear your own voice. These practical skills provide deep self-sufficiency and become a meditation in action. In the quiet focus of doing, external demands lose their power, allowing your quieter inner essence to finally come through. This is the goal of self-knowledge, to discover your own definition of yourself and live fully by it. If you identified with one or several of these signs, you're on the path to a more intentional life. Recognizing these feelings is already the first and most important step. Your awareness awakening to a new possibility, a way of living more aligned with who you truly are. Simplifying life is making conscious choices that free up your time, your energy, and your resources so you can focus on what brings you joy, peace, and purpose. A journey that's yours alone. A gradual process of rediscovering yourself, walking a path more aligned with your being,